What's up, everybody? It's another day and another chance for a win. I have not done one of these videos in quite a while, just for a variety of reasons. I go to work at a little different time, and honestly, every day I don't have something to say. So I've been doing some different things with the website. We've changed the format up a couple of different times, and one thing I always come back to is the thing that people like the most about Just Win Today. The thing that has overwhelmingly been the most popular thing is the stories that I will tell on there. And sometimes I'll tell a story and I think people get tired of hearing them, so I might not do one for a little while, and then I'll do one and everybody likes it. I don't know why. I don't have a reason for picking the stories that I tell. I did one a couple of days ago about Bobby Hatchett. Bobby's a guy that played for me, was an amazing player, and it was just a great example of a kid not giving an excuse. But anyway, last night I was sitting at work, had a long day at work. We had a Christmas concert. So I was sitting there, about half an hour to kill, and I've got this picture in my office of my cousin, Terry Bell. Terry was my hero. And so anyway, I just started thinking of, I've told all these stories on this website, and really, if not for my cousin Terry, there would be no Coach Heeb, there would be no Just Win Today. None of this stuff would even happen without Terry, because he was my hero. Terry is the one that instilled a love of basketball into me in the first place. So I started thinking about what is the best story about Terry that I could tell. And without question, my favorite basketball story ever is about the night when Terry was a senior and we beat Van Buren. Van Buren was the best team that we beat that year on the way to state. We really got lucky to win the game. And Terry would tell me this story when I was a kid growing up. We'd be riding in the car, and I would beg him to tell me the story. I'd probably heard it 10 times, but I couldn't. Like, if I could talk to Terry right now, I would say, Terry, tell me that story again. The reason I liked the story so much was the way Terry talked about the guy that guarded him. The guy's name was Mike Hollis. And Mike was a defensive stopper for Van Buren. They had other players that scored more points. But Terry would tell the story this way. And if you didn't read the story, I tried to do it justice the way Terry could tell it. But you had to hear him tell it, really is the way it needs to be told. But Terry would tell this story like Mike just covered him all night and he could not get open. And so finally, at the end of the game, we're down like 5 points with 6 minutes to go, and Coach Cookson calls all his timeouts, and Terry used to say, bam, bam, bam. That's the way he would tell the story. Coach calls all his timeouts. We're out of timeouts. And so we're coming out on the floor, and Coach calls Terry over, and, no Coach Cookson, he really chewed on Terry. You get the ball, and you do this, and, whatever. So Terry goes out and takes over the last 6 minutes of the game. We barely win the game. And Terry tells the story, and I didn't tell this in the article because I can't tell the whole thing without writing a book. But Terry would say that when Mike fouled out, the horn went off, and Mike was so tired that he didn't hear the horn go off. So the referee came to tell him, hey, you fouled out. So he came to tell Mike he fouled out. Mike stood up. It didn't register with him that he had to go out of the game. Terry said, you got to understand, this is back before Facebook, before YouTube. These guys had never seen each other before. But Van Buren had been to Scott Central, and so I guess they had seen each other. But it's not like it is now where guys play AAU and travel around and there's some familiarity with each other, or you watch a video of each other on the internet. I mean, it's like these two guys had been circling each other for years probably. Where at Scott Central, we knew who the tough team to beat in the state tournament was going to be. Like when I was a senior in high school, it was Richland, Sean Cole. Those guys were really good. With Terry's group, it was going to be Van Buren. They knew Van Buren was going to be the team to beat. So Mike Hollis and Van Buren knew Scott Central. Mike Hollis knew he was going to guard Terry Bell from the time he's probably in like 7th or 8th grade. So these two, when they met and Mike was so tired, Terry said it finally registered with him like it was over. So Mike stood up, and Terry said, and it's my favorite part of the story, he said, I just hugged him. He said, right there in the middle of the court, I just hugged him. And he said, you know what? He hugged me right back. So anyway, just an amazing story. And Terry said when the game got over, he was so tired, Terry was, that he couldn't even take his own shoes off. And that Ray Shove, the Scott County Central Superintendent, who came down to the locker room after the game, actually took his shoes off, got his clothes out of his bag for him, and helped Terry get his stuff together, because Terry said, I was so tired that I could not get dressed after the game. That's how tired I was. So, you know, if you read the story, you picked up on that. That's not the best. That's not why I'm making this video. So this happens every now and then with Just Win Today. So I got done with the story. Probably took me like 30 minutes to type that out. I go down to the band concert. Our choir and our band is having a concert. Our kids did an amazing job. Our choir director, Leah Meyer, amazing job. And so I get out and I get a text from Pete McBride. Pete is my buddy. He coaches at Eminence High School. He said, David, I was at that game. You're right. That Van Buren team, they were loaded. He said, man, I don't know if you know this or not, but Mike Hollis, he goes, I knew Mike, and he was a great guy. Mike died a couple of years ago in a kind of a tragic accident, and I'm going to try to see if we can get a copy of this or make sure that his family knows about this. This will mean a lot to them. And I said, wow, Pete, I had no idea. Never knew Mike, but, you know, this story really impacted my life. I mean, I love basketball so much, and because of Terry, and that's my favorite Terry story. You know, Pete and I traded a couple texts. I go to bed, wake up this morning, I get a text message or an inbox on my Facebook from Mike Hollis's widow, Ronnie Hollis. And she sends me a message and says, hey, I read your story. Meant a lot to me. We traded a lot of messages back and forth. I don't want to say everything we said because some of that's private, but I asked her, I said, do you mind if I share that I met you? And she said, no, that's fine. You know, but just, you know, she kind of talked about her late husband and, you know, how great a guy he was and how much it meant to their family. And so then I get a text message from my friend Merlin Johnson, who's the superintendent over in Central Missouri, another school. Merlin and I have known each other for about 20 years. Merlin said, David, Mike was my brother-in-law. And, man, he was an awesome guy. He's just a great guy. You know, that story meant so much to our family. And so, and I told Merlin this, and I told Ronnie this, both, that, you know, I never met Mike, but he had such an impact on my life. And that story of Mike and Terry has echoed through, you know, how many lives now, because I became a coach. I coach kids that are coaches now. I'm coaching other kids. I have 5 boys that play for me that are coaches. And I've got guys that are, you know, one's a preacher, physical therapist, you know, guys that are dads raising their own kids now, et cetera, you know. And, you know, not that that one story is, you know, the be-all, end-all of everybody's life, but, you know, I don't know, it just, that's kind of what happens with this website sometimes, is you get one of these stories, and I told the story just because I thought it was a cool story, had no idea that it would go around like it did this morning. So I don't know, it's just a cool moment, and that's kind of the point of the story anyway. Like I said at the end of that article, you never know how what you do is going to impact somebody else. You never know what you're doing right now today, how it's going to impact somebody else. And like Terry telling me that story, how, you know, I just love basketball because of my cousin and the time he spent with me and those stories he would tell me. And, you know, now I'm telling stories about basketball just like he told me. So you just never know how what you're going to do is going to impact somebody today. And for you today, it might not be about basketball. It might be about something else. You know, it might be, but I guarantee you, you know, we just don't know the impact that we're going to have around people today. And I guess that's what I'm trying to say is you're going to have an impact on somebody one way or another. It's just going to be, is it going to be positive or is it going to be negative? So choose to be positive. You know, make today a win. That's what I look at. Just this one day, just today. You know, no guarantee of tomorrow. Can't change yesterday. Just today, just this one day. Make this day a win. Doesn't mean that it's going to be the best day ever. Doesn't mean that it's going to be perfect. What it means is you're going to try to find a positive in today, or if today didn't go the way you want it to, what did you learn from it so that you can try to make tomorrow win? Because tomorrow is going to be today again. So anyway, that's it. That's all I got. And so thanks for reading. Appreciate all the support. And make it a good one. Read the article if you hadn't read it. And I appreciate Ronnie reaching out to me this morning. I've got the goosebumps still. So everybody have a good one. JWT.